I guess we are live. Am I audible? Hello. Hello, everyone. Let me check if I'm audible. Assalamualaikum. Hello, hi. Hi. Am I audible? Hello, hi. Hi, everyone. Can somebody confirm in the chat? You can drop a comment if I'm audible properly. Hi. Hi, Aditya. Aditya and Mohit. I'm audible now? Good afternoon. Mohit, good afternoon. Yes, good. So, in the previous live, when we have joined in the previous, that means on Monday, what we have discussed, Aditya, Mohit, who was there? What we have discussed. Let me open this live right here so I can check the comment. Okay. Sir, I know JavaScript concept, but when I try to build something, my menu goes blank and can't implement logic. Yes, that happens sometimes, and majority of students, including me, when I was learning JavaScript, it was the same problem with me as well. Right, but the solution exists within you. And let me tell you one concrete solution. Do you heavily rely on tutorials, if I may ask, Mangesh? Do you heavily rely on tutorials? Do you watch a lot of tutorials for technology or for project or something like that? Yes, that is the problem that I was pinning down, and that is a same problem that I have faced. Yes, because whenever you heavily rely on, you can say audible audio. Okay. So what I was saying, Mangesh, ki whenever you heavily rely on tutorials, yeah, I'll watch the tutorial, then I'll do the coding, then I again watch the tutorial, then I'll again watch the you can say do the coding part. That's where you lag. Okay, so everyone who is watching or who is facing that problem, ki whenever I try to do something, I get stuck in syntax. But whenever I watch tutorial or something like that, I am very good at theoretical knowledge, and that's what I was talking about in the last live session. Ki whenever you are trying to watch something and trying to build something, these are two different you can say domain. Building something is a different domain, and knowing something is a different, totally different stuff, right? So whenever you are trying to build something, do not rely on tutorials. Tutorial might be a good choice for the student who is starting to learning new technology, but it cannot be the solution for you to build any software or any web app. That logic of building something should be coming from within you. Okay, so whenever you are trying to do that, try to figure out ki I will, let's suppose I am watching 50% tutorial, and I will try to implement that same logic without watching the tutorial. If you are not able to do that, if you are not able to make that sync, until unless I am watching tutorial, I am able to do it. The moment I, you can say, switch back to the coding part, I am blank. That is a problem. That first of all, you need to decrease your timing of watching tutorial, increase the timing of practice, and you will be noticing a small changes that is coming within you. So do not directly dive into heavy duty concept or heavy duty project. Try to do small tasks. Let's suppose you are watching a tutorial of DOM manipulation or JavaScript DOM. So what you can do is you can first start with normal project. Let's suppose you are trying to make a you can say input, taking an input. On the click of the button you want to make certain shape, okay, on the screen. That's how you can start with small topics or small project. Then later on try to increment it, learn in incremental order, and try to increase the you can say level of a program, and you will be seeing that difference ki whatever I am able to think at the low level, I am able to think with some little bit of you can say effort, I am able to get out of that particular loop of tutorial. Okay, so first try that to make solution by yourself, and you will be feeling the difference. Any tips for DSA? I can give you some tips on DSA, but we are here to discuss React.js. But let me just give you tips on DSA as well. Okay. DSA and development are not two separate domain. Every when you talk about DSA itself is a problem solving skill, and development is also consist of problem solving skill. The moment you are not able to approach problem very carefully, that means you are very weak at problem approaching or problem solving. You can say data structures. But what actually algorithm? There are two subjects that you might have studied in BTech: DSA and DAA, right? DAA and DSA. There is a data structure, you can say an algorithm analysis, and there is a data structure and algorithm. Data structure is a separate part, algorithm analysis is a separate part. So let's suppose if I'm asking you to make a tea. So there are certain way of making a tea, there are certain method to make a tea, but what method you are going to pick is your approach towards that problem, and that is called brute force approach, or you can say optimal approach. And so at the end result will be the same, but the taste of that result or the efficiency of the result will be differing from each other. Okay, so whenever you are trying to learn DSA alongside development, I will say make a schedule that compromise nothing, and that will include each and every one, that is DSA as well and a little bit of development as well, because DSA will get you the interview, DSA will be the key to get you the company, but development will be the key to survive in that company. And there is no debate between DSA versus development. There is no DSA versus development. It's DSA with development. Okay. So, who was there in the last live? Can you tell me what we have discussed in the last live? Hmm? What we have discussed in the last class. So let me just share my screen, then we'll move forward. JavaScript. Okay. Interesting. That means we have discussed few topic that is essential to start with React, and I have said in this live that we today's live we are going to discuss why React existed in the first place. What are the core concepts that you need to understand? Because we are what we are building in this series, that from the scratch level of JavaScript to the advanced architecture level of React.js. So what we are trying to do here is I will give you understanding in each live a certain advanced topic. First, we have discussed the JavaScript. Then I will be coming on React in this particular class. Then I will be going a little bit deep into the React hooks, custom hook, React query, test stack, Redux, just and each and everything will be discussed. Then architectural design pattern, windowing, shell app, system design of micro front-end architecture as well. We are going to increase the level of you can say complexity within each and every line. So when you will go live next, I believe on Monday. Each Monday and Friday I'll be coming live. You can mark that schedule. Each you can say Monday and Friday. Okay. So the topic of this particular live session is how actually React works, right? So majority of students do know how to work with React, but they do not understand how React is working behind the scene. So if I ask you that what is virtual DOM, majority of will be able to answer what is virtual DOM, right? And I have to be very confident in that stuff, that majority of you will be able to answer what is virtual DOM. And I can guess the you can say uh, majority of the definition as well. So some of you might be saying is a virtual DOM is a copy of actual DOM, right? No, you haven't missed. You have just missed one live session. This is second live session over, right? So majority of the definition would be, sir, what is virtual DOM? Virtual DOM is a copy of actual DOM. Yes or no? You will be saying like this, sir, virtual DOM is a copy of actual DOM. But what if I say this is incorrect? Or you can say partially incorrect. Yes, it is a copy of actual DOM. And generally, what students think, React generally relies on what? It relies on one concept called virtual DOM. Will you agree me on this topic that React works on virtual DOM? Yes or no? Virtual DOM is a key concept behind React working. Hmm? Yes or no? You will say yes, because that's what you have heard about from any mentor, any tutorial, any documentation that you are following. But what if I say that particular algorithm that was used to work behind the React.js has been changed thoroughly, and that new particular algorithm is known as React Fiber? So what will you say? Sir, what is this React Fiber? And I have not heard about it. And some of you might have heard about it. If you have given interviews about front end, they would have asked you the Fiber architecture and something like that, right? So majority of the students do think that React is still working on virtual DOM. Yes, it is working on virtual DOM, but that algorithm has been completely vanished, and they have, you can say, completely rewritten that algorithm, and the new algorithm that currently existing is known as, you can say, React Fiber architecture. So what we are going to discuss, we'll start from the scratch. I'll also code some of the part. I'll use my pen tab to give you the understanding as well. So I'll just let me just share my screen. I'll just share my screen first. Do let me know once my screen is available. You're able to see my screen? Hmm? You are able to see my screen? Confirm me. Then we will start. Aditya, Nova, Mohit, who is ever there, they can give me a thumbs up. Let me check. Yes, my screen is available. So let's try to understand one thing. What is that one thing is, I will ask you one concept. Do you know how actually React works behind the scene? And you will say, yes, sir, sometimes I do know how actually it works behind the scene. Now, let me give you one understanding of the concept that why actually React exists in the first place. The question is, why React existing in the first place? When we has to have, you can say, HTML, CSS, JS, and everything was working fine, then why we decided to go with React? What was React having to offer that we decided, okay, I will not be using now vanilla JS, that is HTML, CSS, JS, or the raw JS, rather than I will be picking that library of JS. So before you try to understand why we require React, you need to understand one concept behind the scene that is very essential, and that is known as CRP of system design. Do you know the CRP, critical rendering path? Some of you guys who have interacted me before, they might know this concept pretty well, but some of you might not be understanding the term CRP, or you are hearing the term for the first time, right? So what actually CRP is? CRP is a fundamental concept behind each and every web page rendering. That means this is known as the click to first pixel journey. So whenever you click on certain website, and from that moment until unless you are not receiving the web page that you have requested, the process that goes behind the scene is known as CRP, critical rendering path. The moment you click on a page, from that moment until unless you are not receiving your web page, they will be going through a journey, and that journey is known as critical rendering path, or let me just give you that journey. So do you know that whenever you are making a request from a browser or from a search engine to your server, let's suppose I'm trying to search gfg, let's suppose gfg.org, I'm trying to search that. Okay, and the moment I search this gfg.org, what will happen actually? Nothing will happen. This particular thing got in DNS, you can say lookup. DNS will be resolved for this particular website, and the server will find the you can say IP address for that, and they will give me the output. Okay, whatever the web page is containing, I will receive that particular output. And as I know, I am connected to internet via wires, and you also know that in wire your website cannot travel directly. Yes, that means my data will be not be flowing in a normal manner, that a web page manner. Ki header will be coming, then footer will be coming, then home page, hero section, about us. This will not be the flow of the data. Then what can be the flow of data? Data flow will be similar. Data flow will be like this. Ki data will be coming into pieces, or you can known as chunks. The data will not be flowing at full. Data will be flowing in chunks, pieces by pieces, or you can say chunks by chunk. Or whenever you are talking about chunk, what are those chunks? These chunks are nothing but three files. First one is known as HTML file, second one is known as CSS file, and third one known as JS file. Right? What actually they are known as? First one is HTML file, second one is CSS file, and the third one is JS file. And let me tell you one thing, guys, ki this is a fact, you can say, ki these three files apart from these three files, your browser is not capable of understanding anything. They will not understand anything apart from HTML, CSS, or JS. When it comes to web development, then now the question will be like this: is sir, what about the language like Java, PHP, Python, Flask, Django, Go, C Sharp? What they actually do? Because you are saying, ki sir, apart from HTML, CSS, and JS, my website or my browser does not understand any other thing. So what is with this PHP, Laravel, those kind of stuff? How they are language they are working? So listen carefully. Every language apart from these HTML, CSS, and JS will work on server side. They generally work on server side, and after completing their phenomena, after performing their operation on server side, they returns me a response. Whenever they are performing a logic, they will return me a response, and the response has to be presented in the form of web page. Then you will be requiring to convert that response into HTML for structure, CSS for styling, and JS for interactivity. There is no alternative to that. Whenever you want to represent your response that is coming from server side into a web form, or you can say web presentation, then you have to have a HTML, CSS, and JS involved. And that's why they say the browser does not understand anything apart from HTML, CSS, and JS. I hope you are getting till this point why everybody says HTML, CSS, JS are the favorite child of a browser. Type yes. I want a confirmation so I can move ahead. Okay. Whenever you are using any browser has to be very sure it is receiving a HTML, CSS, and JS file. Now you have understood why we are not using why browser is not, you can say, preferring apart from HTML, CSS, and JS. But as you know, if we are receiving a raw response in the form of HTML file, JS file, and let's suppose CSS file or HTML, JS file, but actually what we see on the browser is a web page. We do not see a three pieces of data, that is HTML, CSS, or JS. What we receive is we receive a full-fledged website. That means browser is the one that will make certain thing. That means browser is responsible for making my website, and answer is correct. That means yes, browser is the guy who is responsible for making your website. That means browser is known as the cook that will cook you something by combining the HTML, CSS, and JS, and the little bit you can say combination of those, and they will be creating me a certain thing called website or web pages. Now, in what combination or in what manner they will you can say combine this HTML, CSS, and JS for me in order to make me a website. So browser have a one thing called parser, and every time you heard me taking a boot camp or taking me a seminar on YouTube or any other college, you might have heard me saying ki rather than learning web development first, you need to focus on what? You need to focus on computer networks, you need to focus on DBMS, you need to focus on software engineering 101. These are the subject, these are the essential topic that will play a huge or critical role in order to get a cracking in web development journey. You will be feeling very comfortable when you are very good in computer networks, DBMS, and software engineering 101. Now, because of why I am saying like this, because the parser that I am talking about is a concept of computer networks. And what actually parser is? Parser means a reading entity. What I will say in the general term, I can say it is a reading entity, or let's suppose it is a reading tool. What it will do for me? It will not do anything. It will read the file, okay, because it's a reading tool. It will read me a file and it will remember that file forever unless I am not utilizing it. That means whenever I am passing him a file, whenever I am giving him a file, he will read the file thoroughly and it will remember that file structure. Okay, what was there in that particular file? Now, how will he remember that particular structure, that what was in their file? It has to remember that particular file by creating a structure, or a structure that will look like a tree like structure. And let me just show the process of you. Let's suppose the first file is HTML. Whenever the HTML will be going to parser, they will read the file in a certain manner. Manner is top to down, left to right. That is called top to bottom, left to right, because that's how parser reads your document. How they are reading the document? Again, top to bottom, left to right, because that's how human read. Okay, and human has, you can say engineer have written the parser, so that's the same flow that how a parser will read. Parser will read your file from top to bottom, left to right, and the moment it reads the file, after completing the reading of file, it will create a tree like structure of that file to remember the file. Ki what was there in the file? What it will create? It will create a tree like structure to remember the file, that what was there in that particular file. Now, what can be the name of that particular tree that has originated from HTML? What I can name this particular tree? Any guess? The answer is ki I will call this particular tree as HTML DOM. What I will call it? I will call it HTML DOM, because it is having a document object model, that means the structure of the document in a tree like structure. That's why it is known as HTML DOM. Okay, now after this file is finished, I will also do the same for CSS as well. I will read this particular file from top to bottom, left to right, and I will create a structure. And let's suppose this is the structure. And after creating a CSS structure, what is the name of CSS structure? Let me check comments. Yes, Aditya is correct. The file name is known as CSS home. Simple. What it will known as? It will be known as CSS home, cascading style sheet object model, right? And then after your JavaScript will be come into picture. लेकिन जावास्क्रिप्ट have no play in structure or styling. So we will not be parsing JavaScript for now. What we'll be doing, we will be combining this HTML DOM and CSS OM together. That means we will add two tree. First tree is HTML DOM and the second one is known as CSS OM. We will combine both the tree and I will create a resultant tree. Let's suppose this is the tree that I am going to create. Let's suppose this is a tree. Let me create the tree by combining HTML and CSS. Let's suppose this is the tree that look like this. Now you tell me what can be the name of this tree by combining HTML and CSS. Hmm. Anyone can make a guess? Aditya, or who is there? What can be the name of this tree? The name of this tree is known as render tree. Okay, the name of the tree is render tree, and it is also known as actual DOM. It is known as actual DOM. It is also known as real DOM. Can't remember? No issues. I will tell you. This is known as render tree. It is also known as actual DOM. It is also known as real DOM. That means this is the phenomena, or this is the thing that you are running behind. DOM manipulation. The tree that you manipulate, the DOM that you manipulate is nothing but is the real DOM or the actual DOM or the render tree. This is where your HTML and CSS comes together to form a structure plus a style. Now, after this completion, they will be going on to the reflow state. What they are going for? They are going for reflow state. What is reflow state? Reflow is something ki by taking these particular nodes into consideration of render tree, I will create a layout tree with proper layouting, how many pixel I have to give to someone, where I have to position that element. I will take that into consideration and I will create a layout tree. What I will create? I will create a layout tree. Let me create a layout tree. This is the layout tree. Let's suppose I am creating. Okay. And after this layout has been done, this is known as reflow. I didn't have a clue. Okay, no issue. You can understand now, because as I say, every time you are trying to learn React.js or web development, you need to work behind the scene. You need to understand what goes behind the scene in order to get the understanding in real time that how actually things are working. Because everyone can learn syntax. Okay, everyone can remember syntax, but whenever you are setting an interview, you might be surprised by hearing those terms: layout engine, reflow, repaint, reconciliation, those kind of stuff. So let's suppose I'm creating layout tree, and after this particular layout tree is done, one more thing will be running, that is called composite. What do you mean by composite? I will take this particular node from reflow and I will make a pixel of it. What I'll make? I will make pixels of it. Simple. Each and every node will have their pixel, their attributes, and after the pixel will be created, what I'll do, let's suppose after creating a pixel, let's suppose this is my screen. Let me just draw a screen. After this reflow is completed, I will create a screen. Let's suppose this is a screen that I am going to use to see my website. The moment my first pixel is generated, this pixel will be thrown onto the screen in the same process that you are parsing. That is called top to bottom, left to right. That means they will throw that particular pixels one by one from top to bottom, left to right in a synchronous manner, right? And this particular process of your first pixel to come onto the screen, let's suppose this is a screen, let's suppose the journey of the first pixel from the search to the screen is known as painting, and the process is known as painting process, and this is also known as rendering process. Now tell me, If you look at the journey of your website, let me just do it in a favor manner. Now let's compare this journey. I have make it little bit small. Let me just make it this small so you can see whole journey at once. Give me a moment. Hmm. Look at this. Look at this particular process. From the moment I have searched my website, how many steps it has to go through, how many paths it has to follow. First, your HTML, CSS, JS will be coming, your DNS will be resolved, your tree will be created, your tree will be combined together, they will be going into the reflow state, then your composite will be made, and then your presentation will be done, that is a painting. And that particular concept, my friend, is known as the thing that you know, that is known as CRP, critical rendering path. That is a one of the coolest concept in system design that majority of the student are not aware of. And from that moment of time, your foundation of React JS has to be built. Now tell me, did you know this before, majority of you? How many process, how many step it has to go from your search to your first pixel? And this is known as critical rendering path. And this is a path and this is a process. By this, there is a problem that starts. And that's where we realize that JavaScript or HTML, CSS, JS is not something that we are going to pick for our website. We have to have a framework or library. You tell me till this part clear or not? Type yes if it is clear, then we'll be moving forward. Everyone who is learning, who is watching carefully in order to understand that what goes behind. Not everyone. I know everyone. Our process, not all part. Perfect. You can watch the live again. You can watch the recording after that, so you will be able to understand. Now, I understood that what actually goes behind the scene. Now I have to realize what actually the problem was. So I have decided to move on from HTML, CSS, and I have came to React.js. The first is what that is the thing called why React existing in the first place. So let me tell you one thing. Let's suppose this is a tree and that is a DOM that I am working with. Let's suppose this is the DOM that I am working with and this is known as a real DOM. Let me just make a DOM. Let's suppose this is a DOM that I am making and I am calling this as a real DOM or I am calling this as a, let's suppose, actual DOM. Okay. Now I am letting you know one thing. Let's suppose this is the node, this is the path where let's suppose GFG is written. Let's suppose this was a H1 where I am writing gfg.org. Let's suppose this was the text. Now what I want key this particular content should be changed to gfg.com or let's suppose gigs for gigs. The full form should be there. Gigs for gigs. Okay. What I'm asking, I'm saying I want to change this particular node that is written currently GFG to the full form of GFG, that is gigs for gigs. Okay. Now, how will I do it? And as you know, this is a tree. And in DSA, there is a tree. Whenever you want to make certain changes in tree, you might be knowing that I have to traverse that tree first. In order to make change in array, linked list, you need to find that node first. Right? If I'm right. I might not be that efficient in DSA, but theoretically I'm very good at it. Okay, let's suppose I want to traverse this particular tree. So there are three type of traversal that can happen in tree in DSA. First one is let's suppose known as pre-order. I can do in order. I can do post order. Pre-order traversal, in order traversal, and post order traversal. Right? These are the traversal that I have to do in tree. Now let's suppose in order to find this particular node that is there, this H1, how much How much step I will be requiring to find that particular node? Tell me, what is the maximum height of this tree? And if I am trying to find that particular node that is having gfg.org, what can be the time complexity? Let's suppose one level, two level, three level, and four level. So you will say the complexity can be big O of n ki power 4. Can I say that? Ki big O of n ki power 4 will be the complexity? Yes or no? Because they are nested in the fourth level. This is the first level, this is the second level, this is the third level, this is the fourth level. So complexity will be O of n ki power 4, or let's suppose if there is a constant involved, n ki power 4 plus k. But k will be ignored due to constant. I'm not good at DSA. I am not as well. But yes, these are the fundamental things that complexity is not something that is hard. Let's suppose it is having n ki power 4 complexity. That is a very bad complex. I will say this is a worst time complexity. So that means कि whenever I have to change anything in this tree, first I need to find that particular node, then I will be making a change. Let's suppose if I'm making changes into this, now I have converted that GFG into gigs for gigs. I have made change by finding this tree in order traversal. Let's suppose I am doing in order traversal. I will be first trying with node, that is root node. Then I will be going left. Then I will be going right. That is LNR. That's how in order traversal work. LNR. If I am good, if I am correct. Okay. So I am doing LNR, or I am finding that particular tree and I am changing the value. Now look at this process. After changing the thing into here, let's suppose this is the tree. I am making a changes into this tree where the actual DOM. So what are the next process after changing the DOM? If I change the DOM, what can be the next process? That means after I change the DOM, this particular process has to be repeated. Tell me, which process? Reflow and the composite process has to be repeated. The moment I detect any change, this reflow and this particular composite tree has to be made again. Yes or no? Because the moment tree will be changed, the node will be changed. If the node value is changed, I have to revise this reflow tree and the composite tree and the painting in order to show the new value. That is a GFG now converted to gigs for gigs. That means for a small minor changes into this domain, that means a small minor change is affecting on remaining of the process as whole. That means I am repeating a majority of the process just to make a small change. Yes or no? And if yes, that particular painting that I was doing here on the screen, if anything will change into it, the painting has to be done again. Tell me, if I am doing this painting in that particular screen, the screen that I'm highlighting, I have to do that painting again if something changes in the tree. If I'm detecting any change, the tree has something new value, to show that new value onto the screen, I have to repaint my screen. And my friend, this is the problem, and the problem is known as conciliation. What is known as reconciliation? Key problem, or you can call it is known as re-rendering. That means for a smaller change, I am repainting the whole screen. So you will say, sir, why this is a problem? I am saying there is no problem, guys. You can do it. But let me tell you one more thing about React.js. Let's suppose this is a screen. I am creating a screen. Let's suppose this is a screen. Okay. In this screen, what I'm having, let me create the screen first. This is the screen. Okay. This is a browser screen that I'm using. In this browser screen, let's suppose this is a navbar. What is this? This is a navbar where home is there, about is there, and login is there. This is a website. Let's suppose GFG's website. What I'm creating? A navbar, and I'm creating three links. First one is home, about, and login. Okay, and after that I am also having a sidebar, that is called left navigation bar, or you can call it a sidebar. Okay, I am calling it a left navigation bar or sidebar. And after that I am also having a home page, or let's suppose hero section. Okay, and after that I am also having a footer. That suppose I am having this particular section. I am having a hero section, I am having a footer section. I'm having four things in a website. First one is navbar, then sidebar, then hero section, then footer. So you tell me, whenever the first time I will be loading this website, this navbar will be loaded. That's, let's suppose nvar is represented in n, and this will blink for the first time. Yes or no? Navbar will blink for the first time, same as sidebar will also blink for first time, and hero section will be also blinking for the first time, and the footer will also be blinking for the first time. What will happen? Everyone will load for the first time, so I cannot stop that. Navbar will be loaded, sidebar will be loaded, and hero will be loaded, and footer will be loaded. Each and everyone will have a blinking first. Let's suppose in this particular sidebar, what actually I am having? I am having a temperature section. What I'm having a temperature section. That means I am showing a temperature of the location of the user as a complementary thing. Okay, what I'm doing? I am showing the temperature of the user's area, whoever the user is utilizing my website, for free. But user is getting that for free, but I am paying $1 per request. Let's suppose what I am paying to the weather API services $1 a request, but I am giving this you can say service for free to the user. So let's suppose this is the first time everyone is using. Now after certain moment of time, my user has clicked on about section. What user has done? User has clicked on about section. What will happen if user is clicking on about section? That means in the place of hero section that is currently showing home page, I have to replace that home page with about us. Yes or no? You will agree me on this point. In place of hero section, I have to show the about us section. But in order to change that particular thing, if I reload the whole website, what you will say? Is this a correct methodology, or you can say wrong approach? If I reload the whole website for just a small change to replace the home section with about us section, is it a good approach or a bad approach? What is this kind of approach? Good approach or bad approach? It will reload. You will say it's a bad approach. Why? In order to reload the about us section, my navbar will be loaded for the first time again, sidebar will be loaded again, footer will be loaded again, then my about us will be coming. That means just for a small change, I am reloading the whole website. But will the temperature change? No, temperature will be remaining same. That means instead of paying $1 per request, every time user is going on to different navigation of the same website, I am reloading the temperature again, and instead of paying $1 a request, I am paying, let's suppose, $5 a request, or $5 per user. Let's suppose I am having a 1 million user traffic. It's just like 30 lakh ka investment पर 35 lakh का घाटा. Have you seen that particular movie? 30 lakh ka investment and 35 lakh ka घाटा. That is the same thing that will happen. That means it is a too much overkill for a small change. If I want to make a certain change, this is too much to load for, and that is known as performance overkill, right? I am utilizing my resource very bad in order to reload the certain content, and that's why, my friend, we require React JS. What I require? That's what for I require React JS. Understood? Why we require React JS? Now you will be seeing and now you will be imagining, sir, what React offers you. So this problem solves. What actually React has to offer in the first place. So I solve this problem. Hmm? Can you tell me what actually React offers? Tell me what actually React has to offer that I solve this problem very efficiently. Tell me. Any guess would work for me. Let me check the comment section. Okay. Aditya is laughing. That was a joke, right? Understood? Shadow DOM or and real DOM. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Shadow DOM and real DOM. Okay. Virtual DOM you are actually talking about. Now let me just give you an idea. What actually React do? React says rather than changing everything, I will only replace that certain part. How? Let me just show you now. What actually React says? React says what I'll do. I will, let's suppose I am making a tree. Let's suppose this is your real DOM. Let's suppose this is your real DOM. Let me create a real DOM. This is your real DOM. Okay. And in this real DOM, I want to replace this content. Which content I want to replace? This particular content. Okay. At the last node that I was replacing, that means I want to replace the last node, that is GFG. And in order to replace that particular node, you will say, I have to reload the whole tree again. And answer is yes, because if you are using HTML, CSS, you have to reload the tree again and again until as you are not finalizing the change. But what Reacts do? Let's suppose this is a real DOM. What I will do, if this is a particularly real DOM for you, if this particular thing is a real DOM, what I'll do, I will create a copy of this real DOM. What I'll do, I'll create a copy of this real DOM that will look like similar. Okay, I will make a copy, and this particular thing is known as virtual DOM. What is this known as? This is known as virtual DOM. That means having this particular DOM will give you advantage. I don't have to work with real DOM directly. What I don't have? I don't have to work with real DOM directly. I will only work with virtual DOM. And this virtual DOM will do every time you make any changes. Any changes means any change. You changing a color, you changing a name, you changing anything. It will create a one more virtual DOM. What it will do? It will create one more virtual DOM. Let's suppose this is where GFG was written. Now I will create a DOM that will have a change. Let's suppose that change is new, gigs for gigs. What is this having? The new tree that I am creating, it will have one more tree with the new change that is called gigs for gigs. Now, you compare the both tree number 1 and tree number 2. What do you find? Tell me, what do you find? If you compare both tree, if I want to compare both tree side by side, what actually I'll find? Tell me, what actually I'll find? A single node, The new node, that means the whatever I am making a changes, that node I'll find. This particular algorithm that I am using to compare my tree number 1 and tree number 2, I will find the difference between both tree, and that particular algorithm is known as diffing algorithm. What is this known as? This is known as diffing algorithm. And diffing algorithm dictates that by comparing two virtual DOM, okay, every time you make a change, I will create a new virtual DOM and I will compare the new virtual DOM with the old virtual DOM in order to find the difference between both. And whatever the difference that I find, I will decide two things. Which is a smarter approach? Should I change the value in the real DOM? That means, should I replace the value? And if it is overkill, that means if I have to change multiple thing in order to change the value, it will cut that particular node from here, it will replace the new node directly. Without replacing it, without changing the value, it will cut that node from there in the old virtual DOM, it will pick the new node, it will compare that, it will replace that. And that particular formula is known as imputation and replacement. What is this known as? This is known as imputation and replacement. Now you tell me, when I am having an imputation and replacement, only this part will be changed, this part remains same. In both the tree, this part remains same. That means the end node will be changed. After that, above the tree, that means remaining of the node will be remaining same. And remaining same means if the change is not there, you don't have to reload it. That means only that part will be reloaded that has been changed. So I will be saving my time, I will be saving my cost by saving the reloading. I will only reload that particular node, that particular part that has some change. Otherwise, I will not make any reload. So my sidebar, which is showing a temperature, which have nothing to do with the end node, will not be getting reloaded. Now you tell me, now you are understanding why React solve this problem very smoothly by using virtual DOM. You tell me. Let me check the comment section also. Tell me. Okay. Imputation, Aditya saying diffing, yes. Imral saying differences, yes, which has to be changed. Understood? Now, let me ask you one thing. Let's not one thing, two thing. I will ask you two things, then I'll move forward. What do you mean by imperative and what do you mean by declarative? There's a two term that is there in React.js. First one is called imperative. Second one is known as declarative. And I will show you both. Then you will be getting to know that what actually sir is talking about. Okay. Now let me just, you can say, share my VS Code screen. I will share my VS Code screen. You are able to see my screen of code. You're able to see my screen. Okay, Novar, you can, and thank you for the compliment. Yes, I'm using a second device. Now, what I wanted to show you, let me just jump back to that. Let me put this right here. I will see my comments. Now I will show you that what actually you said it Monday. Yes, Monday and Friday. Let me just go back and let me show you one thing. Why do I use React? Why do I require React? Let me just show you one thing. First thing first, I'll create one file that is index.html, and I will create one application right here with the React as well. I'll show you two things. First one is I'll show you with the React, and I'll show you one normal file as well, imperative and declarative both. I will go npm create with at the rate latest. I'll say demo. I'll create a React application as well, just to show you the difference why we require React in first place. That means I have a React application running. I'm having a index.html. Let me install both. I have a index.html first, and I also have a React application. I will show you both the change via application, and you will decide which is better in order to check it. You will decide. Let us install the dependency, then we continue. Hmm. It has installed the dependency. Now let me show you one thing. I will come to index.html, and I will not use any of the React.js, any library, any framework. What I will be writing, I will be writing pure HTML, pure JS. That is called vanilla JS. And this type of method is known as manual method. And manual means imperative method. So okay, I'll take a simple code, a simple file of HTML, a boilerplate of HTML, and then I will be trying, let's suppose vanilla JS. I'll say vanilla approach. Okay. And I will take a count. Simple. What I'll take, I will take a simple count application. I'll say h1, and I'll say the value of count is simple. What I'll say value of count is now. And I also take a button say I'll suppose I'll take a change button. Whenever somebody will click on the button, listen carefully. When somebody will click on the button, I will change the count. I will increase the count or I will decrease the count. Whatever I want to do, I will do it. Now, whenever you are not aware about any React JS or something like that, what do you use? You will be using DOM manipulation. That means whatever the value is, let's suppose the value current is 0. If I want to change that value from 0 to 1, what I has to do? I has to first take the access of this particular h1 by a DOM manipulation. Then I have to change the content of it manually. And that's why it is known as imperative. That is known as manual or vanilla JS. So let me just take a ID count. And in button, I'll take a ID BTN. I have two identity. First one is count and second one is button. Okay. After that particular thing, what I will do, I will write JavaScript. I'll write a script tag and I'll start writing JavaScript. What first thing first, what I will I take? On the click of a button, I has to change something. Let me just click show preview right here so you can see the output as well. What is this? This is a small, you can say application. that I am seeing you right away. Let me just open this up. The output of this particular program. That means the moment I click on this button, I want to update the value. But how will I able to update the value is simple. If I have the access of this button, how will I do that? I will take the access of the button. I'll say const btn is equal to document dot query selector, and I'll pass the id, that is btn, simple. And I will take btn dot add event listener. I will pass a click name event key when somebody will click over it, and pass a simple callback function. When somebody will click on the button, I'll pass a simple callback function. What it will do? It will do something like this. Let's suppose I'm having a variable count. Count is equal to 0. Let's suppose I'm having count is equal to 0 over here. Let's suppose count 0. Now, what will happen? I'll do count plus plus. Simple. I will not do anything. What I'll do count plus plus. Every time somebody clicks over it, I'll click count plus plus. Lekin I want to change the value of this as well. That's about what is the value is. The current value is 0. I want to replace it with a new value. New value means what I'll do, let's suppose value is. After that, I will replace document dot query selector. I'll take a id that is known as count. I will say dot inner text is equal to, I'll say count. Simple. What I did, what I said, on the click of a button, increase the count and show the value in the count. Now let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means what actually is happening? The moment I click something, the moment I change the value, I am receiving the counter application. But what I have to do, I have to manually target this particular h1 to replace the value. Yes or no? You tell me. What actually I am doing? You are able to see that now? What I have to do, I have to take the manual access of the document, that is a h1, and then I have to target that h1 to place a new value. Tell me. You're trying to get now what actually I'm trying to say. Imperative means whenever I have to change the value, I have to target that node imperatively. I need to target that node specifically. Then let's suppose after that particular thing, if I'm having one more h1, let's suppose I'm having h2, and I'm also having h3, I'm also having a h5, let's suppose a paragraph, let's suppose I'm having those three. So what I'll do, I'll take id, let's suppose h count 2. I'll say count 2. This is the id count 3. I'll say count 3, and I'll say this is count 4. id count 4. That means I have to target them individually again. How? I will say like this. Copy it first time, second time, third time, fourth time. Simple. And I'll replace this count number 1, that is count number 2. I'll come count number 3, I'll come count number 4. That means I have to target them individually in order to print value 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means in whatever location, if I want to change something, I have to target that particular node individually. And imagine that a scenario, if I'm having a you can say 10, 12, 13 place, let's suppose 15 place or 50 place, where I have to change the value, what will be the length of the code? You imagine the length of the code. That means I have to talk to that particular HTML via JS, and I have to take the access of all those 50 element. Then I will be able to change the value at one go by click of a one button. Yes or no? Tell me. That's what I have to do now. You are listening or not? If I'm not able to, let's suppose, if I'm not able to target this particular 50 node at once, कि I might be saying कि okay कि this is something 50 30 40 component is there, and I have to target them individually. It will be a lot of code, and whenever you are trying to do things manually is a error prone code. Whenever you are writing anything manual, error prone code is there. That means there might be chances of bug, right? Now after that, if I wanted to do it, you can say let's suppose automatically, that is called declarative approach. What if I say to you कि I don't have to do anything? What I have to do is कि they will react automatically the moment I click on the button, so I don't have to do this. So what I can do, let's suppose if I'm having a certain thing like this, if I'm able to, let's go on demo, go on source app.jsx, remove this, I'll say RAFCE simply, and I'll click on this particular link, npm run dev cd demo, npm run dev. I'll click this, not 3000, I'll say 5173. I have to open that externally. Let me just open this. Can we use little bit English? Sure, why not? I will be using little bit of English as well. चलो ठीक है, मैं तुम्हें बता देता हूँ कि रिएक्ट के बारे में जब मैं बात कर रहा था, क्योंकि अभी तक शायद तुमको समझ में आ गया होगा कि लेट मी गो इट, I have to remove this. Now let me clear this, or let me open that into a browser. I'll open the browser here, share screen. I'll share the whole screen. I'll replace mine. Okay. Now you are able to see my screen, and I will be opening an application right over here. I will go back to this particular thing. I'll open this particular link by following that particular link, and you can come back. You can see there is a certain thing called app. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll come back to this code. What I'll do, I'll remove this index.css as well, so you will not be able to see that particular thing, app.jsx. Now you will see this is something that I'm going to see, a simple app. Whatever I am writing in app.jsx, वही मेरे को दिख रहा है कि जो भी मैंने app.jsx में लिख रखा है, एक फंक्शन जिसमें एक ऐप लिख रखा है मैंने, वही मेरे को दिख रहा है यहाँ पे. ठीक है, अब क्या करूंगा मैं, सिंपल एक चीज करते हैं कि जो मैंने वहां बनाया था, दैट मीन्स जो मैंने काउंटर वहां पे बनाया था, अब उसको इस तरीके से बना के देखते हैं ताकि मुझे ये सब करना ना पड़े. सो व्हाट आई हैव टू डू, लेट्स सपोज दिस इज अ ऐप. ऐप की जगह मैं काउंटर बनाता हूं तुम्हारे लिए. काउंटर कैसे बनाऊंगा, लेट्स सपोज इसको रिमूव कर देता हूं. एक बार मैं काउंटर बनाने की कोशिश करता हूं. सबसे पहले एक h1 ले लेता हूं. h1 में ले लेता हूं द वैल्यू ऑफ काउंट इज सिंपल. I will inject one variable over here, and let's suppose I am having this multiple times because I wanted to create, तुम्हारे लिए वो सिनेरियो बनाना चाहता हूं मैं कि हम 4-5 जगह भी ये चीज को यूज कर सकते हैं विदाउट चेंजिंग एनीथिंग मैनुअली। ओके, और लेट्स सपोज अभी के लिए मैं इसको हटा देता हूं, मैं एक जगह दिखाता हूं तुम्हें कि मैंने क्या किया है कि मैंने एक h1 लिया है जिसमें मैं दिखाना चाहता हूं कि व्हाट इज द वैल्यू ऑफ काउंट, और उसके साथ में एक बटन भी ले लेता हूं जो कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगा मेरे चेंज के लिए। आई विल टेक चेंज, कि जब भी कोई इस पर क्लिक करेगा आई विल यूज अ फंक्शन नेम्ड एज हैंडल क्लिक। मैं कुछ नहीं करूंगा, एक फंक्शन चला दूंगा, फंक्शन का नाम होगा हैंडल क्लिक, कि जब भी कोई मेरी इस बटन पे क्लिक करेगा मैं एक फंक्शनैलिटी चलाना चाहता हूं रिएक्ट में जो कि मुझे कुछ अप्लाई करके देगी। वो अप्लाई करेगी क्या, वो सिंपली मेरे काउंट को बढ़ाएगी। क्या करता हूं मैं, एक हुक ले लेता हूं, यूज स्टेट सेट काउंट इज इक्वल टू यूज स्टेट एंड इनिशियल वैल्यू 0। अब मैं क्या करूंगा, एक फंक्शन चलाता हूं कॉन्स्ट हैंडल क्लिक, जब भी कोई इस फंक्शन पे क्लिक करेगा ये फंक्शन एक्टिवेट हो जाएगा। ये करेगा क्या, काउंट को +1 कर देगा, सिंपल। यानी कि ये कुछ नहीं करेगा, काउंट को उठाएगा, काउंट को +1 कर देगा। अगेन अभी आपको यूज स्टेट समझने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, वो हम अगले लेक्चर में देखने वाले हैं कि स्टेट कैसे काम करती है। बट अभी मैं तुम्हें ये सिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं कि जो भी बाय डिफॉल्ट, ये रिएक्ट का बाय डिफॉल्ट कोड है जो मैंने हटा दिया था, मैं इसको दोबारा लिख रहा हूं जस्ट बिकॉज आई वांटेड यू टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इसे कैसे लिखा जा सकता है। ठीक है, दैट मीन्स अगर आप इस कोड को ध्यान से देखें, इस कोड में कुछ भी नहीं है। मैंने एक h1 लिया है जो मैंने यहां पे लिया था, इसका कोड को आप साइड बाय साइड कंपेयर करके देखो। लुक एट दिस कोड साइड बाय साइड। मैंने यहाँ पे एक h1 लिया हुआ है, मैंने यहाँ पे एक h1 लिया हुआ है, यहाँ पे मैंने एक बटन लिया हुआ है, मैंने यहाँ पे एक बटन लिया हुआ है। बट यहाँ पे एक्स्ट्रा क्या है कि मैंने यहाँ पे इतनी नंबर ऑफ लाइन एक्स्ट्रा लिख रखी है जावास्क्रिप्ट की। क्या मैंने कर रखा है कि मैंने इतनी लाइन एक्स्ट्रा लिख रखी है जस्ट बिकॉज कि मैं कुछ दिखाना चाहता हूँ यूजर को, द काउंट की वैल्यू दिखाना चाहता हूँ। इसलिए मैंने क्या किया है कि इतने नंबर ऑफ लाइंस को मैंने क्या किया, एक्स्ट्रा ले रखा है। अगर मुझे इसको रिमूव करना है तो मुझे कुछ नहीं करना होता है, मुझे बस ये लिखना था कि जब भी कोई इस बटन पर क्लिक करेगा तो आपको काउंट +1 करना है। और जब भी मैं इसका तो मैं आउटपुट दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा तो यू विल बी सीइंग, मैं इस काउंट को यहाँ इंजेक्ट कर देता हूँ, यू विल बी सी इन दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग कि जब भी मैं तुम्हें इस काउंट को दिखाऊंगा यू विल बी सीइंग, ये रहा वो स्क्रीन। अब इस स्क्रीन में क्या है कि जब भी तुम इस काउंट को देखोगे आपके पास एक बटन है, आपके पास एक चेंज नाम का एक यू कैन से वेरिएबल है, सिंपल। अगेन सेम आउटपुट एज द index.html, बट यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, मैं एक बटन पे क्लिक कर रहा हूँ, सेम काउंट की वैल्यू चेंज हो रही है 1 2 3 4 5 6, दैट मींस एवरीथिंग इज सेम जो मैंने अभी HTML में लिखा हुआ था विद द हेल्प ऑफ JS, कि यहाँ पे मैं जब भी क्लिक करता हूँ देखो मेरी काउंट की वैल्यू क्या हो रही है, बढ़ती चली जा रही है। बट अब तुम यहाँ पे चीज नोटिस करना कि सर जब भी मैंने ये काम HTML CSS में करने की कोशिश की थी तो मुझे इतनी लाइन ऑफ कोड लगा था। ध्यान सुनो, मैंने कहा कि जब भी व्हेन आई वाज ट्राइंग टू डू द सेम टास्क इन HTML फाइल इंपेरेटिवली, दैट मींस प्योर JS, मुझे इतनी नंबर ऑफ लाइन की कोड की जरूरत थी। बट अभी मैं जब ये कर रहा हूं तो मुझे बस इतने नंबर ऑफ लाइन की कोड की जरूरत पड़ रही है। क्यों, ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि ऐसा इसलिए है क्योंकि जब भी मैंने तुमसे कहा था कि जब भी रिएक्ट की बात आती है, रिएक्ट नाम क्यों आया था, रिएक्ट नाम इसलिए आया था कि ये वाला जो h1 है ये अपने आप रिएक्ट करेगा जब भी आप काउंट चेंज करोगे। दैट मींस ये h1 जो है वो अपने आप रिएक्ट करेगा जब जब आप काउंट चेंज करोगे, आपको कभी भी कोई चीज मैनुअली करने की जरूरत नहीं है। और लेट सपोज मेरे पास ऐसे 10 लोग हैं, मेरे पास ऐसे क्या है, मेरे पास ऐसे 10 लोग हैं, लेट सपोज मेरे पास ऐसे 10 लोग हैं, ठीक है। इसके ऊपर रिमूव कर देते हैं यहां से और यहां से। लेट सपोज मेरे पास इतने लोग हैं, अगर मैं ये काम जावास्क्रिप्ट में कर रहा होता तो तुम जानते हो कि क्या हो रहा होता मेरे साथ। मेरे साथ ये हो रहा था कि मुझे यहाँ पे जो मैंने यहाँ 4 बार लिखा हुआ है document.getElementById, ये मुझे 10 बार लिखना पड़ता। क्या करना पड़ता, ये मुझे 10 बार लिखना पड़ता। बट यहाँ पे क्या मुझे ऐसा करना पड़ेगा कि अगर मैं इस लाइन को 10 बार नहीं लिखना चाहता तो क्या मुझे क्या ऐसा कुछ करना पड़ेगा, Answer is no. I don't have to do anything extra. Look at this. When I refresh this, you will be able to see सब कोई जीरो है एक बार में, और जब भी मैं बटन पे क्लिक कर रहा हूं, यहां से देखना, जब भी मैं बटन पे क्लिक कर रहा हूं, तो अपने आप देखना सारी की सारी वैल्यू एक बार में ही चेंज हो रही है। ऐसा क्यों? ऐसा इसलिए गाइस, कि जब जब मेरा कोई भी स्टेट में चेंज होता है, जब जब मेरे किसी भी पर्टिकुलर वैल्यू में कोई चेंज होता है, मेरा ये डॉम ऑटोमेटिकली रिएक्ट कर देता है कि अच्छा नई वैल्यू आई है, मुझे नई वैल्यू दिखानी है, तो अपने आप को रिलोड कर लेता है। दैट मीन्स कि अगर मैं नॉर्मल HTML CSS यूज करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं, तो मुझे ये सारा काम इंपेरेटिवली करना पड़ेगा। बट अगर मैं रिएक्ट जेएस यूज कर रहा हूं, तो मुझे ये सारा काम डिक्लेरेटिवली करने को मिल जाता है, यानी कि अपने आप रिएक्ट की स्टेट खुद को अपडेट कर लेती है विदाउट मी चेंजिंग एनीथिंग। नाउ टेल मी, अब समझ में आया कि व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट? टेल मी। यू टेल मी। नाउ तुम्हें समझ में आया कि व्हाट एक्चुअली आई वाज टॉकिंग, कि क्यों रिएक्ट जेएस मच बेटर चॉइस है व्हेन इट कम्स टू यूआई हैंडलिंग, राइट? शायद मैं इसलिए मैंने तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल लेके बताया था कि हो सकता है मैं थ्योरी में बात करूं तो मैं समझ में ना आए कि क्यों डॉम वाज वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स। कि डॉम में मैं करता क्या हूं, सबसे पहले एक्सेस लेता हूं किसी चीज का, फिर उसे टारगेट करता हूं, फिर उसमें वैल्यू चेंज होती है, फिर वो रिलोड करता है अपने आप को। बट रिएक्ट क्या कर रहा है, रिएक्ट उसको एक बार में ही देख रहा है कि तुम अपनी वैल्यू चेंज कर लो, लेकिन द मोमेंट अपनी वैल्यू तुम चेंज करोगे, मैं क्या करूंगा, जहां जहां उस वैल्यू की यूज हुई है, जहां जहां पर उस वैल्यू का यूटिलाइजेशन हुआ है, मैं उसको ऑटोमेटिकली ट्रिगर कर दूंगा रिलोड करने के लिए। समझ में आया कि इससे क्या होगा कि मुझे कुछ भी करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं पड़ेगी, एवरीथिंग विल बी केटर्ड बाय डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच ऑफ रिएक्ट जेएस। और इसी वही है वो रीजन था जिसकी वजह से मुझे क्या चूज करना पड़ा, रिएक्ट जेएस एज अ लाइब्रेरी फॉर जेएस और यूआई बिल्डिंग, जिससे मेरी यूआई बिल्डिंग बहुत आसान हो गई है। अब इसी वजह से रिएक्ट बहुत पॉपुलर है इंडस्ट्री में। और रिएक्ट काम कैसे करता है मैंने तुम्हें समझा दिया कि रिएक्ट एक्चुअली में बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम करता है। तो अभी तक हमने क्या क्या डिस्कस कर लिया? हमने डिस्कस कर लिया कि भैया सीआरपी क्या होता है, वेबसाइट कैसे तुम्हारी स्क्रीन तक आती है, उसमें पेंटिंग क्या होता है, उसमें कंसिलिएशन क्या होता है। हमने देख लिया है कि रिएक्ट क्या होता है, रिएक्ट क्यों जरूरी है, कि उसमें स्टेट का मतलब क्या होता है, समझिए, और डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच क्या होता है, इंपेरेटिव अप्रोच क्या होता है। अब अब हम लेते हैं थोड़ा सा 5 मिनट का ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि फाइबर क्या होता है और कंपोनेंट बेस्ड डेवलपमेंट क्या होता है। दो टॉपिक और है हमारे पास टू अंडरस्टैंड कि रिएक्ट बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम करता है। उसके बाद आई लेट यू गो फॉर द नेक्स्ट सेशन। जब हम मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट टाइम ऑन मंडे, तब हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि हुक और स्टेट मैनेजमेंट कैसे किया जाता है। ठीक है? सो लेट्स हैव अ ब्रेक ऑफ 3-4 minutes, then after I'll start with you can say fiber architecture. Okay? Hello. Shall we start? Okay. Now let's discuss. We have also discussed conciliation, virtual DOM, component. Let's try to understand thing. Ki, what actually I was talking about. Ki, what is the major difference between, I would say, good developer and the great React developer? Everyone can make application using AI with React. Whatever, everyone can do this, and I have no shame claiming that ki everyone can do this. There is a good thing, but there is a thing called good developer. There is a called great developer. Ki they understand system well. There are the developer who just build good. And they are having a salary difference as well. Whenever you're having a good engineer, they are earning a, you can say, lot of money. What somebody is very good at coding, they are good, very good at AI using. They are only having a small amount of money. But the engineer who is not good at coding but very good at problem solving is earning as comparatively more money. Why? Because let me tell you one thing. Whenever you are very good at React, okay, whenever you understand React, you know very well, you understand virtual DOM, you understand conciliation and virtual DOM are the same thing. What conciliation or reconciliation means, whenever a certain change happens in your node, whenever any change come into picture, what you have to do, you have to reload that particular UI in order to reflect that change. And that algorithm that you are using to refresh that particular page is known as conciliation, and the term or the tool is known as conciler. What is known as, it is also known as reconciler. And reconciler is based on stack, the DSA stack, data structure of stack. Stack means LIFO, last in first out. That is a LIFO. If I am correct, that is a LIFO. If it is working on stack, it means last in first out, and queue works on first in first out. Right now, if I move towards this particular thing, if I'm saying you are a good developer, that means you understand this thing. There is a virtual DOM, there is a reconciliation, there is a, you can say a repainting of the UI. There is a tool name that is named as reconciler, which is work on stack is involved. If you know this much thing, that means you are a good React developer. What you are? You are a good React developer. But whenever you want to separate a good React developer with a best, or you can say problem solver, or with a React.js greatness, you have to understand that particular algorithm of reconciliation has been banished from version number 16 of React. Whenever I was working with, you can say, React, until the version number 16, there was a concept called as reconciler, right? But after version 16, that means around 10 years back, this is about 10 years, and from 10 year we are not using virtual DOM or reconciler, but everyone will teach you that there is a virtual DOM, there is a virtual DOM, there is a virtual DOM, right? They will just tell you like this, okay, there is a virtual DOM, there is a virtual DOM, and you will remind it, okay sir, I understand this, I understand this. But problem is, whenever you try to understand certain thing in depth, you need to understand yes, reconciler has been finished, but it has been re-originated in the other form, and the other form is known as React Fiber. And this is the majority of the time whenever I take interviews for mentors, for trainers, or you can say for software engineers, trainee, interns, I generally do ask, because whenever you are very good at coding, you will not be very familiar with some of the good concept like fiber. But if you want to make yourself a good developer, then you need to understand that React Fiber is something that you cannot, you can say, spare. You have to understand what actually reconciler was before and how the reconciler is working in the form of React Fiber. So let me just tell you one thing. Ki whenever we were using stack as an algorithm and stack was working synchronously, how it was working? It was working synchronously. Synchronously means line by line. It is line by line, right? But whenever you are having a task, just listen carefully. Let's suppose if I am having a synchronous behavior of an stack, that means my screen will print or screen will paint at one go. That means until unless they are not being developed, my screen will not come. If they are developed once, screen will come in one go. Agree? Right? So whenever you are saying whenever I wanted to develop a screen, I want to develop a paint, I will paint this particular thing in one go. But if you are saying in one go means till the time you are painting whole the tree, that means you are painting the whole tree at once. That means it might take you 2 minutes, it might take you 3 minutes, it might take you 4 minutes, it might take you 1 second, it might take you 5 minutes. That means whatever time it is going to be taken by that painter or taken by that compiler to paint your whole tree at once, till that time your screen will be freeze, screen will be frozen. Yes or no? Let me check the comments. Yes or no? The screen will be frozen or not? Till the time it is not painting at one go, the screen will be freezed. Darwin saying, sir, you are so cool. When I grow up, I'll learn. Okay, don't be, because I have done some few mistake as well, so I don't want you to repeat it. You can be a developer, you can say like me, you can be a trainer like me, but I'll say that's a good thing. But again, the concept is everyone have their journey. You have to have master your path. Okay, but thank you. Let's suppose what I was talking about, I was saying ki until unless your whole process is not completing, you will freeze the screen, and that's where your problem lies. And then your Fiverr come into picture in 2010. Facebook has started to work on this particular phenomena called Fiverr, because they have faced a problem कि whenever the old stack reconciler was there, they were creating a lot of problem. What? It was just like synchronous. What do you mean by synchronous? Synchronous means it will be all or it will be nothing. That means output can be there at once or no output will be there. That's it's called as synchronous. Now after synchronous, until as the synchronous process is not completing, they will block the thread. That is called blocking the browser thread. They will block the browser thread. Now by the time they are blocking the browser thread, listen carefully, by the time they are blocking the browser's thread, there might be certain tasks that have priority more than this painting. If I'm having any priority task, let's suppose high priority task, by blocking this screen, I am deprioritizing this. I cannot perform this particular operation until unless I am not able to paint the screen. Yes or no? This is the same thing na, until unless I'm not painting the whole screen, I cannot prioritize your task. That means there is no work scheduling. There's an algorithm called scheduling in computer networks. Process and scheduling, CPU, operating system. That means there will be no task that can be scheduled till that time. Then if that is the case, any task that is asynchronous in nature, that means any task that is called animation, if that is reloading, it can drop frames. Because I am not able to prioritize frame, this particular animation can drop frame. And if the frame is dropping, guys, I have no fallback. That is called no suspense. I don't have any suspense, or I don't have any concurrent mode. What I don't have? I don't have any concurrent mode to prioritize, update, to pause, or to break, or to take, or to resume, whatever it is. Because this is work on this particular concept known as all or nothing. Either I will perform all operation at once, and if that is not the case, I will not perform anything. Understood the stack based reconciler? That was your previous reconciler, that you call it virtual DOM, virtual DOM. That was the previous virtual DOM before version 16. Again, from version 16, we have started to implement a React Fiber approach. What React Fiber approach says? Ki rather than having a synchronous behavior, I can be asynchronous. That means I can pause, I can resume between the tree. That means if you want to pause me, I will be pausing. If you want to resume me, I will be able to resume it. That means this process is far more important or far more efficient than having a synchronous approach. What do you say? Yes or no? Ki having a asynchronous approach is much better than having a synchronous one. Ki either all or nothing. But that is not the case. I want something that can pause, that can resume, or that can, you can say, between the tree they can perform some other operation as well. That means if this is asynchronous, I can prioritize task, which task I want to perform, right? That means if I'm having a high priority animation, I can perform that. If I'm having user input, I can perform that. If I'm having data fetching, I can perform that. That means I can set the priority right here being asynchronous. And if this is the case, that means asynchronous means I can schedule multiple tasks at a time. That is known as full scheduler. Concept known as full scheduler. They have a full scheduler with all priority. Which task need to go first, which task need to go second. Then if this is the case, if I have a proper planning done here, which task will be going when, I can render a smooth animation, even 60-80 fps. That means I will not be dropping no frame. That means there will be no frame drop. Yes or no? And if I'm doing this, another no frame will be dropping. That means I am able to enable suspense. Suspense means fallback. I will be able to do fallback. I can use pause. I can use restart. I can do whatever I want being asynchronous. And now tell me, understood now what actually I'm saying? Tell me. Now understood what is Fiverr actually? That is the current virtual DOM that you are using. Now you will say, ki, sir, if the virtual DOM is not involved in this, how I am showing the output on the screen? That means if there is any change that is coming, how I am able to show that change? Yes or no? You might be having the confusion, like, sir, if the virtual DOM is not involved, because I know ki, React works on virtual DOM, and you are saying ki virtual DOM is eradicated, virtual DOM is not there. There's a new algorithm called React Fiber is there. So what actually helping React Fiber in order to render the thing? So did you taught us JS on the YouTube? If it is not yet, I have not taught, but I am planning to start the series on JS as well. Okay. What I thought, this is a placement season going on, so student will be facing difficulty with React. So I started the React series for interview purpose. That whatever I am discussing currently is totally focused on interviews. What they will ask you, how you have to answer it, what are the concepts that you need to enable, what are the concepts that you need to mix up with them to give you the perfect answer. But if you want, I can also start the JS series after the React is done. Okay. So tell me one thing, you are having that confusion na, ki how this UI is getting rendered. So let me tell you the UI rendering process now without wasting much time. Fiverr actually works in two phases. Fiverr have two phases. What are the two phases that Fiverr currently have? Phase one is also known as render. that is called render. And phase 2 is known as commit. That means React works on React Fiber works on two fundamental concepts or two fundamental phases, that is known as phase of fibers. First one is known as render phase, second one is known as commit phase. That means in the first phase, what fiber will do? Fiber will try to do interruptible rendering. It will create the fiber tree. It will differentiate between node ki what are the node that I have to change. It will mark the change ki what node I have to change, but it will not do any of the DOM changes, or that is called zero DOM right. That means this phase 1 will only be marking the changes ki what changes I want to perform, but it will not do any commit. That is called zero changes or zero DOM right. It will not write anything in the DOM. But after this particular thing is coming, and in between, if there is any high priority task coming, it can prioritize that first. That can start again after finishing the high priority task. That means it is a smart person which can decide कि which task मुझे पहले करना है, कौन सा task मुझे बाद में करना है. अगर मैं कोई एक task कर रहा हूं, अगर उसके बीच में अगर कोई दूसरी चीज आ जाती है जो कि हाई प्रायोरिटी चीज है, मैं उसको प्रायोरिटाइज कर सकता हूं और उसको खत्म करने के बाद वापस से मैं अपने पहले वाले टास्क पे आ सकता हूं. ओके, नाउ जैसे ये काम खत्म हो जाएगा, अब उसका दूसरा फेज स्टार्ट होगा. दूसरा फेज कहता है कि ये वाला जो पहला फेज होता है ये रन करता है आपका एसिंक्रोनसली. दैट मींस कि मैं रुक सकता हूं, मैं पॉज हो सकता हूं, मैं रिज्यूम कर सकता हूं, मैं प्रायोरिटी सेट कर सकता हूं एंड सब कुछ कर सकता हूं. एंड दैट इज नोन एज इंटरप्टेबल रेंडरिंग. कि कई बार इंटरव्यू में तुमसे पूछ लेता है कि व्हाट इज इंटरप्टेबल रेंडरिंग, तो आपको बताना है इंटरप्टेबल रेंडरिंग इज नथिंग बट इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ अ फाइबर इन विच React Fiber can prioritize tasks on the basis of priority. It can pause, it can mark the changes that has to perform, but it will do zero DOM right. That means it will not write anything in the real DOM. Rather than doing this, it will just mark the changes. But जैसे ही उसके वो changes खत्म हो जाएंगे, वो asynchronous से shift हो जाएगा वापस से synchronous में. अब वो क्या करेगा, ये सारे जितने चेंजेस उसने मार्क कर रखे थे वो सारे के सारे चेंजेस फ्लश कर देगा, यानी कि बहा देगा कहां पे, इस रिएक्ट के डॉम में. वो डॉम जिसके थ्रू आप यूआई पेंट करते हैं, समझे. जैसे ही वो सारे चेंजेस हो जाएंगे, वो आपको ये सारे चेंजेस एक बार में दे देगा और आप एक एक करके उस चेंजेस को पेंट कर सकते हैं विदाउट डिस्टर्बिंग एनीथिंग. अब उसके पेंटिंग करते टाइम आप क्या यूज कर सकते हैं, आप कई हुक यूज कर सकते हैं, जैसे यूज लेआउट इफेक्ट एंड आप यूज इफेक्ट भी यूज कर सकते हैं. बाय यूजिंग दोज टू हुक्स यू कैन पॉज, यू कैन डू रेंडरिंग ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ एसिंक्रोनस एंड सिंक. तो अब समझ में आया कि रिएक्ट फाइबर दो फेजेस में कैसे काम करता है. एवरीवन जस्ट गिव मी अ थम्स अप सो आई कैन बी श्योर कि अंडरस्टूड. बताओ भाई, समझ में आ रहा है. तब मैं आपको रेंडरिंग की साइकिल भी बता देता हूं. थोड़ा सा एडवांस है बट आई वुड से कि आप पढ़ लो तो ज्यादा बेटर रहेगा. कंफर्म मी, यहां तक समझ में आ गया है, यू आर गुड टू गो. एक बार मैं यस, चलो मैं एक बार और थोड़ी चीज बता देता हूँ. वैसे तो हम रिएक्ट क्यों यूज कर रहे हैं अब तक तो शायद तुम्हें अंदाजा लग गया होगा कि रिएक्ट मुझे क्या ऑफर करता है कि, और रिएक्ट कैसे काम करता है बिहाइंड द सीन, जिसकी वजह से रिएक्ट इतना पॉपुलर है. समझिए, क्योंकि रिएक्ट ऐसे ही पॉपुलर नहीं है. रिएक्ट के जैसे कई फ्रेमवर्क, कई लाइब्रेरी इज देयर, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि लोग पागल रिएक्ट के पीछे क्यों है. क्यों हर बच्चा, हर डेवलपर रिएक्ट सीखने की कोशिश करता है इन अर्ली डेज, क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है कि सीखना बहुत आसान है. नहीं, सीखना मुश्किल है, रिएक्ट को सीखना बहुत मुश्किल है. अगर तो मेरे साथ कभी ट्रेन किए होगे या बूट कैम्प लिए होगे, जब हम टॉपिक डिस्कस करते हैं तो आपको फील होता है कि यार सर बहुत काफी डिफिकल्ट है फ्रंट एंड रिएक्ट के साथ एज कम्पेयर टू बैक एंड. बिकॉज आई एम बैक एंड इंजीनियर, तो जनरली बैक एंड तुम्हारे लिए बहुत आसान दिखता है बट फ्रंट एंड थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है. क्योंकि कॉम्प्लेक्स है, रिएक्ट को समझना ऊपर से अगर तुम समझ रहे हो स्क्रैच लेवल पे बहुत आसान है, तुम्हें हुक्स आ गए, तुम्हें राउटिंग आ गई, बहुत बढ़िया, सब कुछ अच्छा लग रहा है। लेकिन ये तुम रिएक्ट को इस लेवल पे समझने की कोशिश करते हो, जिसे कहते हैं आप लो लेवल प्रोग्रामिंग, बिल्कुल स्क्रैच लेवल से समझने की कोशिश करते हो बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम कर रहा है, ये तुम्हें किसी प्लेलिस्ट में देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, समझे? क्योंकि प्लेलिस्ट में अगर ये सारा कंटेंट डालोगे ना तो बहुत टाइम लगता है, और उसके लिए तुम्हें पहले पता होना चाहिए कि व्हाट एक्चुअली यू आर टीचिंग। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप सुबह उठे और आपने पढ़ाना शुरू कर दिया। मैं ये काम 4.5 साल से 5 साल से कर रहा हूँ, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम एबल टू डू, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम एबल टू टीच। कि अगर जब भी आप ये काम अचानक से करने की कोशिश करोगे तभी जो नए नए आप प्लेलिस्ट देख, उसमें कोई फाइबर नहीं पढ़ा रहा है, कोई रेंडरिंग साइकिल नहीं पढ़ा रहा है तुम्हें, कोई रिकंसाइलर नहीं बता रहा है, कोई इंपेरेटिव मैनुअल नहीं बता रहा। क्यों? क्योंकि वो नहीं चाहते कि यार बच्चे को क्या चाहिए, बच्चे को चाहिए कि एक बार कोड लिखना सीख जाऊं और मेरा काम हो जाएगा। बट यही तो दिक्कत है कि अगर तुम कोड लिखना सीख गए तो तुम आधे तो डिसेबल हो चुके हो। कोड लिखना इज द लास्ट थिंग जो मैं सिखाता हूं बच्चे को। बच्चे को पहले पता होना चाहिए कि ये चीज हम क्यों यूज कर रहे हैं, इसके पीछे एक्चुअली चल क्या रहा है। जब आपको ये समझ में आ जाएगा कि एक्चुअली इसके पीछे चल क्या रहा है, इट विल बी बहुत बहुत ज्यादा आसान टू डायरेक्टली गो ऑन सिंटैक्स। तो तुमसे कभी भी कोई चीज पूछ लेगा ना इंटरव्यू में, ये चीज चलती कैसे और इसका ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या है, तो तुम बिल्कुल अलग देखोगे उन बच्चों से जिन्होंने सिर्फ सिंटैक्स याद कर रखा है। बचपन में तुम्हें शायद याद होगा कि जब हमारे पेरेंट लोग क्या करते थे, 2+2 तुम्हें करना सिखाते थे, तो तुम क्या करते थे, ए प्लस बी करने का फॉर्मूला तुम याद कर लेते थे सिंपली, कि मुझे पता है कि a+b का होल स्क्वायर इज इक्वल टू a² + b² + 2ab। दैट्स व्हाट इट इज ना। वो क्या करते थे कि वो वैल्यू चेंज कर देते थे। मैंने भी कई बार किया है, जब मैं 8th क्लास 7th क्लास में था तो मैं पूरा का पूरा सम याद करके ले जाता था, डेरिवेशन याद करके ले जाता था कि इसको कैसे लिखना है, अगर ये क्वेश्चन आ गया है पूरा लिख दूंगा। पर मास्टर्स क्या करते थे, वहां पे वो ए की वैल्यू बी की वैल्यू रिप्लेस कर देते थे और मैं एग्जैक्ट वही सॉल्यूशन उतार के आ जाता था और फेल हो जाता था, समझे? तो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि मैंने समझने की कोशिश स्टार्टिंग में ये नहीं की कि ये वाला फॉर्मूला एक्चुअली में करता क्या है, पीछे से बिहाइंड द सीन ये क्या कर रहा होता है कि a+b की वैल्यू रिटर्न कर पाता है। तभी से मैंने डिसाइड किया कि जब भी मैं बीटेक फर्स्ट ईयर में आया, जब भी मैंने प्रोग्रामिंग स्टार्ट की, दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट अप्रोच कि व्हाई वी आर डूइंग दिस, व्हाट एक्चुअली इज गिविंग बैक टू मी, हाउ दिस एक्चुअली वर्क्स बिहाइंड द सीन। तो तुम्हारा गोल जब भी तुम इंटरव्यू के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो तो एक्चुअली तुम्हारा गोल ये होना चाहिए, क्या मैं इसका प्रोसेस डिफाइन कर पाऊंगा या नहीं, क्या मैं इंटरव्यूअर को समझा पाऊंगा कि चीज कैसे काम कर रही है। लेकिन अगर आप ये नहीं समझा पाए, चाहे तुम आप चाहे कितने बड़े भी कोडर बने रहो, आपको रिजेक्ट कर दिया जाएगा। एंड दैट्स व्हाट इज हैपनिंग। कंपनी कहती है कि उनके पास अच्छे बच्चे नहीं आ रहे हैं, और बच्चे कहते हैं सर मेरे को कंपनी नहीं मिल रही है ना। ये दैट लूप्स गोज ऑन। तो मैं तुम्हें एक लास्ट चीज बताता हूं बिफोर रैपिंग अप। एक रेंडर साइकिल के बारे में समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि जब भी आप कोई भी चेंज करने जाते हैं, वो एक साइकिल में रेंडर होता है। दैट मीन्स एक पाइपलाइन होती है, इसको हम लोग रेंडरिंग पाइपलाइन कहते हैं। जब भी तुम एक रिएक्ट का एप्लीकेशन देखोगे, तुम्हें ये चीज नोटिस करने को मिलेगी कि देयर इज अ रिएक्ट पाइपलाइन, देयर इज अ रेंडरिंग पाइपलाइन दैट गोज इनटू बिहाइंड द सीन, जिसकी वजह से आप कोई भी चेंज देख पाते हैं अपने यूआई पे। अब वो पाइपलाइन का मतलब क्या होता है, अगर मैं तुमसे पूछूं व्हाट डू मीन बाय पाइपलाइन। पाइपलाइन का एक सिंपल मतलब ये होता है कि कुछ प्रोसेस जो साथ में चल रहे हैं, कुछ प्रोसेस जो चेन है आपस में। तो पहला होता है ट्रिगर। जब भी एक आपको रेंडर करना होता है, सबसे पहले आपको करना होता है ट्रिगर, कि इस फेज में रिएक्ट ये डिसाइड करता है कि क्या मुझे रिलोड की रिक्वायरमेंट है। इट विल चेक क्या क्या कोई ऐसी चीज हुई है मेरे एप्लीकेशन में जिससे मुझे रिलोड ट्रिगर करना पड़े, यानी कि क्या मेरे ए की वैल्यू चेंज हुई है, क्या मेरे काउंट की वैल्यू चेंज हुई है जिससे मुझे क्या करना पड़ जाए, जिससे मुझे रिलोड लेना पड़ जाए। इसे कहते हैं ट्रिगर चेक, कि रिएक्ट विल डिसाइड कि वेदर आई हैव टू रिलोड द पेज और नॉट। अब ये किसके लिए चेक करेगा, ये चेक कर सकता है किसी भी स्टेट की चेंज के लिए, कि क्या मेरी स्टेट में कोई चेंज हुआ है। ये चेंज कर सकता है क्या पेरेंट रीरेंडर हुआ है या नहीं। ये ऑल्सो चेक कर सकता है क्या कोई फोर्स रिलोड कराया गया है या नहीं, यानी कि फोर्स अपडेट आया है क्या। दैट इज कॉल्ड लॉ ऑफ इनर्शिया। अगर तुम्हें पता हो कि लॉ ऑफ इनर्शिया किसे कहते हैं, न्यूटन्स फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ इनर्शिया, कि एवरीथिंग विल वांट टू रिमेन सेम अंटिल अनलेस यू आर नॉट अप्लाइंग एक्सटर्नल फोर्स। दैट मीन्स मेरा जो रिलोड है वो कभी भी खुद से होना नहीं चाहता है जब तक कि मैं उसकी स्टेट में कोई चेंज ना करूं, या उसके पेरेंट को रिलोड ना करूं, या उसको फोर्स अपडेट ना दे दूं। इन तीनों केसेस में ही एक्सटर्नल फोर्स अप्लाई होता है और मेरे पेज को क्या होना पड़ता है, मेरे पेज को रिलोड होना पड़ता है। एंड दैट्स व्हाट इज नोन एज रिलोड ट्रिगर। और जैसे ही मुझे ट्रिगर मिल जाता है तो मुझे एक दूसरा प्रोसेस चलाना होता है, उसे कहते हैं रेंडर। कि मैं सब कुछ डिसाइड करूंगा कि जब भी ये रिलोड ट्रिगर हुआ है तो मुझे क्या क्या चेंज करना है। दैट मीन्स आई विल मार्क द चेंजेस, कि जो भी मुझे करने हैं वो चेंजेस मैं मार्क कर लूंगा, कि जो जो मुझे अपडेट करने हैं। लेकिन अभी तक मैं कोई डॉम चेंज करूंगा नहीं। दैट इज कॉल्ड नो डॉम राइट, कि मैं कोई भी डॉम का चेंजेस नहीं करूंगा, बट मैं बस रख लूंगा अपने पास कि मुझे क्या क्या चेंज करना है। और आखिरी फेज कौन सा होता है, आखिरी फेज होता है कमिट का, कि वॉट जो मैंने चेंजेस लिखे हैं वो मैं कमिट कर दूंगा। सिंपल। कैसे, मैं कंपेयर कराऊंगा पुराने वाले वर्चुअल डॉम को किससे, न्यू वाले वर्चुअल डॉम से। और जैसे ही मुझे कोई चेंज दिखता है तो न्यू वाले चेंजेस में रिप्लेस कर दूंगा ओल्ड वाले में। इसे कहते हैं एम्प्यूटेशन एंड रिप्लेसमेंट, जो मैंने तुम्हें पहले बताया था। और ये होता है एक रेंडर पाइपलाइन। इस वजह से आप देख पाते हो कोई भी चेंज जो भी आप कर रहे होते हो। समझे? अब मुझे बताओ, अब तुमसे अगर कोई पूछता है, बिकॉज वी हैव डिस्कस दिस थिंग नाउ, इफ आई आस्क यू वन थिंग, कि अगर तुमसे अब कोई पूछ ले, कि अगर तुमसे अब कोई ये पूछ ले कि ये बताओ मुझे कि रिएक्ट एक्चुअली काम कैसे करता है, सिंपली सिंपली तुमसे ये पूछ ले कि तुम रिएक्ट तो बहुत जानते हो, यू अंडरस्टैंड रिएक्ट वेरी वेल, क्या तुम मुझे बता सकते हो कि रिएक्ट के पीछे क्या होता है, व्हाट एक्चुअली रिएक्ट टेक बिहाइंड द सीन टू वर्क दिस एफिशिएंटली। क्या होता है फाइवर, क्या होता है वर्चुअल डॉम, क्या होता है डिफिंग एल्गोरिथम, क्या होता है स्टेट, कैसे पाइपलाइन काम करती है, क्या होता है फ्लशिंग। आई होप अब तुम बता पाओगे ये चेंजेस कि क्योंकि ये मेजॉरिटी, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि तुमको ये पता नहीं था, आई होप कि तुमको ये पता हो। अगर तुमको पता है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये कि अगर तुमको नहीं पता था, जो कि 99% ऑफ द स्टूडेंट को नहीं पता होता है, इवन तुम किसी वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल को पूछोगे ना कि रिएक्ट फाइवर कैसे काम करता है और रेंडरिंग पाइपलाइन क्या होती है, वो मुंह खोल के रह जाएगा, उसे नहीं पता होता है कि व्हाट एक्चुअली यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। क्योंकि उसने कभी भी उस प्रोसेस को ध्यान से समझने की कोशिश ही नहीं की। उसका मेन गोल क्या था, उसका मेन गोल था भाई कोड लिखना है, कोड लिखना है सैलरी आ जाएगी, कोड लिखना है सैलरी आ जाएगी। बट जब भी तुम ट्रेनिंग में आते हो, स्पेशली जब मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूँ, जब भी मैं कोड लिखता था, आई वॉज ऑल्सो द सेम। बट जब भी मुझे ये समझ में आने लगा कि बच्चे को ये समझाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है कि कोड कैसे लिखा जाता है, क्योंकि कुछ समय बाद कोड तो लिखा जाएगा एआई से, कोड विल बी रिटन बाय एआई। बट अगर तुमको ये नहीं पता है कि उसको प्रॉम्प्ट में क्या फायर करना है, तुम्हें ये नहीं पता है कि आर्किटेक्चर कैसे बनेगा, तुमको ये नहीं पता है कि बिहाइंड द सीन काम होगा कैसे, तो तुम कभी एक अच्छे रिएक्ट डेवलपर तो छोड़ो, तुम एक अच्छे नॉर्मल एचटीएमएल सीएसएस डेवलपर भी नहीं बन सकते unless you don't know how a particular technology is taking behind the scene in order to give you result। अब हो सकता है कि इस क्लास से, इस सेशन से तुम्हें थोड़ी कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट हो, और बिहाइंड द सीन मेरा गोल भी यही था कि थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन होना चाहिए। ऐसा क्यों मैं कह रहा हूं, क्योंकि जब भी तुम्हें थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन होगा, तुम्हारे अंदर वो क्यूरियोसिटी निकलेगी कि मुझे ये समझना है कि सर ने जो बताया था वो कैसे काम करता है। समझ रहा हूं मैं क्या कहने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं, कि जब भी तुम्हें क्यूरियोसिटी होगी ना कि मुझे समझना ये चीज बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम करती होगी, थोड़ा और जान लेता हूं, तब तुम्हें ये समझ में आएगा कि नहीं, विकास सही कह रहे थे कि देयर वाज मच इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, मच मोर देन कोड। कभी भी इस मिसकॉन्सेप्शन में मत आना कि कोड सीख लिया तो सब कुछ हो जाएगा, जो कि मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द ट्यूटोरियल तुम्हें कहते हैं। कोड लिख के बता देता हूं मैं, डायरेक्टली स्क्रीन पे चलते हैं, ये करते हैं, नहीं, कुछ नहीं। मुझे ये पहले बताओ कि जो चीज़ हम पढ़ रहे हैं, तुम जो मैं पढ़ा रहे हो, वो बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम करता है। क्योंकि जब भी मैं इंटरव्यू में बैठूंगा, कभी तो मैं सीनियर पोजीशन पे जाऊंगा, कभी तो मैं इंटरनल राउंड पे बैठूंगा, कभी तो मैं सिस्टम डिजाइन पढ़ूंगा। अगर मुझे यही नहीं पता है कि मेरी वेबसाइट आती कैसे है, स्क्रीन पे लोड कैसे होती है, तो मैं कैसे उसका लेटेंसी कम कर सकता हूँ, बताओ। जब तुम्हें सीआरपी ही नहीं आता है, तुम लेटेंसी कैसे कम कर पाओगे किसी वेबसाइट की? देयर इज नो चांस यू कैन रिड्यूस द लेटेंसी। जब तुम्हें एफसीपी नहीं पता, तुम्हें एलसीपी नहीं पता, तुम्हें सीएलएस नहीं पता, तुम्हें आईएनपी नहीं पता, कुछ नहीं जानते हो, अगर तुम कैसे कह सकते हो कि मेरी जो वेबसाइट जो 2 मिनट में लोड हो रही है उसे मैं 1 सेकंड में लोड कर सकता हूँ? यू कैन नॉट। Until unless you don't understand behind the scene working, there is a all thing is bogus। You are just claiming yourself कि you are a good developer, but you are not. Okay? But जाने से पहले मैं तुम्हें एक चीज दे देता हूँ, गिटहब रेपोजिटरी देता हूँ एक फाइबर आर्किटेक्चर की, ठीक है, जो तुम्हें हेल्प करेगा एक चीज समझने में. इट्स एन एसिडलाइट फाइबर आर्किटेक्चर जो कि 10 साल पहले रेपोजिटरी लिखा गया था. ओके, एंड जब भी तुम फ्री टाइम मिले, everyone, if you get the free time, you can use this particular GitHub repository to understand about behind the scene working of Fiverr. It is the one of the, you can say, best documentation ever written on React Fiverr. मैं जब भी कोई बूट कैंप लेता हूँ चाहे कॉलेज में, आई डू प्रेफर दिस कि एक बार स्टूडेंट इसको जरूर देखे बाय गोइंग होम. जब भी आप फ्री टाइम में हो ये जरूर चेक करें, ठीक है. सो आई होप ये वाला सेशन आपको अच्छा लगा होगा, आप समझ पाए होंगे कि रिएक्ट बिहाइंड द सीन कैसे काम कर सकता है. और ये व्हाटएवर मैं जो पढ़ा रहा हूँ अभी, ये सीढ़ी की तरह काम करेगा तुम्हें एक लेवल अप जाने के लिए, जो हम नए सेशन में डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं. क्योंकि इसमें कोई लिमिट नहीं है कि मैं तुम्हें इतना ही पढ़ाऊंगा, बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट सर्टेन कोर्स और समथिंग लाइक, दिस इज मी एंड यू. आप कुछ पे नहीं कर रहे हैं. व्हाटएवर आई थिंक इज गुड फॉर इंटरव्यू, व्हाटएवर आई थिंक आई नो एज एन सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, I should be telling you. Simple. It's a, you can say, peer-to-peer learning. I will tell you whatever I know, whatever I understand. System design, it can be micro frontend, it can be LLD, low level, high level design, DSA, whatever I think is good to give you the understanding of advanced React. We are not going to discuss any basic React. We are not going to create to-do application or something like that. We are going to dive into architecture pattern, what actually React is, how they work, what are the potential of React that we can utilize in order to maximize the efficiency of React. Okay, so before we wrap up, I am open to question now. अगर आपके पास कोई question है, you can throw them. I will discuss that question, then I will be wrapping this session up. कोई question हो तो feel free to ask. वीडियोस के रिगार्डिंग मैं बात करता हूँ बार. आई टॉक टू द टीम इफ दे आर एबल टू सी दैट कि व्हाई दे आर शोइंग द ब्लैंक स्क्रीन. ओके, आई विल कम्युनिकेट विद देम. व्हाट एल्स, टेल मी. कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है? ये तभी हो सकता है या तो मैंने बहुत बढ़िया पढ़ा दिया हो या तुमने कुछ भी सुना ना हो. समझिए, ये दो ही केसेस में होता है. या तो तुम्हें सब कुछ समझ में आ गया है whatever we have discussed, या तुम्हें कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया. Tell me which is the case. I hope कि पहला वाला हो कि तुम्हें समझ में आ गया हो कि what we are talking about. कमेंट चेक कर लेता हूँ एक बार. चलो, अगर कोई there is no question तो I'll take you leave. Okay, कि मिलते हैं हम लोग नेक्स्ट लाइव सेशन में. सेशन नंबर 3 दैट इज विल बी ऑन मंडे एट द सेम टाइम. 3:30 बजे हम लोग मिलेंगे और विल डिस्कस कि व्हाट गोज बिहाइंड द स्टेट मैनेजमेंट. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज स्टेट मैनेजमेंट. इन नॉट स्टेट मैनेजमेंट इन केस ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स विल डिस्कस रिकॉइल, विल डिस्कस जस्ट एंड एच एंड एवरीथिंग, कॉन्टेक्स्ट एपीआई, सब कुछ जो भी जरूरी है तुम्हें स्टेट मैनेजमेंट में मास्टरी लेने के लिए. विल डिस्कस दैट. टिल देन रिवाइज इट. मैंने जो आर्किटेक्चर का लिंक भेजा है, यू हैव टू रिवाइज दैट, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. और जो भी अगली क्लास में आपको सेशन कुछ डाउट होंगे इस सेशन के, यू कैन आस्क इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. ओके, सो आई विल सजेस्ट कि आप पूरी जितनी भी लंबी सीरीज चल रही है 10-15 वीडियोस की, आप इसको फॉलो करें और यू विल फील अ डिफरेंस कि भाई हाँ, कि कुछ तो था रिएक्ट में जो मुझे नहीं पता था. ओके, चलो मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट सेशन में. टिल देन टेक केयर एंड बाय बाय. टेक केयर.